Welcome to Unplanned Podnancy, the only podcast that you happen to be listening to right now. I'm Chris.
I'm Matt.
And today we've got a little something special for you. Matt, why don't you break it down for him?
All right. So if you listened to the last episode, we did an episode where we thought up a hypothetical situation and we talked about how the world could be different, or would be different if that hypothetical situation had taken place instead of the reality that we live in. This week we're going to do something sort of similar to that, but we're going to be using random prompts. So the idea behind this is that I'm going to use a random word generator to generate 2 words, and I'm going to give those to Chris. And he's going to tell me a hypothetical situation or a story based off of those 2 words. And then when he's done telling his story, he's going to give me 2 words, and I'll do the same thing, and we're just going to go back and forth like that. So, Chris, are you ready?
Oh, I was born not ready, but I'm ready now.
All right. Your first 2 words are urine pile.
First of all, amazing set of words. Urine pile. Oh, wow. Okay, so there is a world outside of our galaxy, outside of our space and time, where these creatures exist that live off of dirt and
It's
mushrooms.
not the galaxy I'm in. It's the galaxy you're in. I'm sorry.
It's better. It's better than what I was going to go for, honestly.
No.
So,
No, that's not even a story. It's just a play on words. Continue. Mushrooms.
And there's a species that lives off dirt and mushrooms, and they don't drink water, unfortunately. So they don't urinate in the way that you and I consider urination. These creatures, they live long lives, but they build their homes out of a unique building material. And since they eat dirt and mushrooms, what they have as urination is just a solid excrement that they get together. They get together and make into a urine pile. Nope. No. Terrible. All right. Hopefully the next one's better. Matt.
You've just described pooping.
Yeah.
You've just described an intergalactic race of dung beetles.
Well, you're right. So I did a bad job. Here's your go at it. You stole all the thunder.
I'm sorry. I'm refrain from making puns.
It was too
no
good.
No more urine puns.
It was too good. Okay, your prompt is authority learn.
Authority learn? Oh God. Okay. So, in in our current timeline, right? We're taught typically to learn from authority figures, right?
Yeah.
We go to school. We're supposed to treat our teachers as authority figures. They tell us what to do. They tell us what to learn. They tell us to shut up, sit down, eat our vegetables, all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
I've heard that there's a country on Earth where instead of people learning from authority figures learn from random children. And so every time somebody is elected to government office, they're immediately sent to a kindergarten where they have to sit down at desks and do whatever lesson plan the local 6-year-olds come up with. And this leads to some pretty interesting outcomes, as you might imagine. Yeah. As a result, the national holidays are Ice Cream Thursday, which is every Thursday.
As it should be.
Yeah. Uh, Poopy Pee Poo, which is on every third Tuesday of the month of every month.
Okay.
And then their version of Christmas, which is like the one time of year where everybody's off work and everybody decorates their houses and, and everybody really goes all out and celebrates the holidays. That holiday is called
That was
and and that and that is the story of the country of
fascinating
Yeah.
land. I would love to vacation there sometime.
Yeah, it's great. They don't have visas. They just have finger paintings.
Well, I'll make sure to get one done so I can visit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So your random words. I'm not gonna give you those because I don't even know how to say that word. Your word is horseshoe responsibility.
Jesus Christ. On a ranch out there in Texas, there is a horse who roams the fields. Up and down, he protects his fellow cattle. And he wields the magical horseshoe. Being gifted with the magical horseshoe, he knew that it was his responsibility to protect the other cattle from poachers and the wildlife that would hunt them.
I'm sorry. Continue. I was gonna say something stupid. Just continue.
He is horseshoe responsibility. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Oh, that's the whole story. Okay.
He's a superhero.
He's a superhero.
He's a superhero horse, man.
Okay. Well. Oh, fuck. All right.
Jesus Christ. Your two words. No. Your two words are penalty cancer.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. So, in the neighboring country next to there's another country, and so when you think back on history, stop looking at me like that, Chris. Chris just looked at me like a child looks at just at like an adult who's gonna give them ice cream, and they're just waiting. They're just like, please, sir. Anyhow,
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to hear this.
This neighboring country. Okay, so you think back through history, right?
Yeah.
And we had like the World War II, where with the Manhattan Project, the Allied forces dropped nuclear weapons on Japan, right?
Yeah.
And we thought that was the beginning of nuclear invention in modern society, right?
Sure,
So,
yeah.
And since then, lots of different countries have developed their own nuclear weapons. At least that's the conventional wisdom, right? Each country makes their own nuclear weapons. They have their own like physicists who are like coming up with this shit. That's not how it went down.
That's not how it went down.
That's not how it went down.
Oh my god.
How it actually went down is that this neighboring country that I'm talking about, we'll call it Jamamia. Jamamia.
Protection?
Yeah,
okay.
That's its like code word.
Okay.
Yeah. Jamamia actually invented all of the nukes, and
Oh.
we've just been buying them from them and exchanging them for goods. And what Jamamia invented the nukes for was actually to put out tons of radiation to punish people for crimes by just giving them cancer. So you get that 5-finger discount. You steal a candy bar at the store. They take you and they throw you in a room where you shove your hand into a secure container that's like locked down, and then they just drop some radium in there, and they just give you hand cancer, and that's your punishment. So, yeah.
So the penalty is cancer.
The penalty is cancer. The penalty for anything is cancer.
Wow.
It's like eye for an eye, but it's just cancer
It's
for
just
anything.
cancer. Jesus Christ, I do not want to visit that country. I don't know if I want to do that finger painting anymore.
Yeah, well, so that's the thing, right? Like all the kids are mutants and they have special abilities because they live so close to Jamamia, and Jamamia is just leaking radiation at the wazoo.
Yeah, okay. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
All right. You ready for your
I understand the first country more now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's just a weird area of the globe we just don't talk about.
We just don't talk about
That's why it's not on any map.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Your 2 words are scratch entry.
Oh, okay. Scratch entry.
Yeah.
Little known fact about the planet Earth. And really, this isn't a little known fact. This is a well-known fact. There are several types of insects on this planet. Just billions and billions of species. Billions and billions of species of insects roam the planet of Earth.
Okay.
And there is a particular species of ant that likes to find its way onto people's legs. And it gnaws at their skin with its little pincers, and it irritates the skin so badly. And then the ant scurries away, leaving its pheromones as a trail. And the people with their itchy skin scratch these itches, and they scratch and they scratch so much that it causes little wounds in the skin flesh. And there is but another insect that is wildly attracted to the pheromones of this ant.
Oh, God, I hate where this is going, I think.
That insect follows the pheromone trail to these people who have scratched their legs and made little holes in the skin flesh. And this insect, known as the hyperpede, slithers and slimes its way into the scratched entrances of the flesh, and then burrows its way down into the muscle, and then becomes part of the person to which it has entered and gives them super strength.
What's in it for them?
Being part of a super strong being.
Okay.
Because every muscle fiber gets replaced with a hyperpede, and the human becomes a hyperpedamon, and is part of the Pokemon universe. And when it dies, all the hyperpedes get released from the bag of flesh that is now decaying, and that's how the hyperpede reproduces.
How come I haven't ever seen this Pokemon online or in any games?
It's a real Pokemon. It's not a video game character. You should remember that
Pokemons are real.
There's one Pokemon on Earth. It's that. And it was the
original Pokemon.
It's where the entire idea for Pokemon came from. Okay,
from the Hyperpede.
The Hyperpede.
Okay. The
And
hyperpede, which just turns your body into fucked up Voltron.
yeah, and it's really the fault of all the radiation that's being leaked around the world. So,
Okay. All right.
there's
So,
plenty of fingers to point.
yeah. What I'm
Um,
learning is we're just uncovering all the secrets of the Shadow Society that's trying to keep Jam and Mia and their radiation leakage and all the
yeah.
weird shit that happens because of it. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
what this has
man.
become.
Jam and Mia created the first Pokemon, the original
Yeah.
Pokemon, the only Pokemon on Earth.
There you go.
Yeah.
Conspiracy podcast now.
This is where we're at.
All right.
Your your words are cupboard, Quran.
So, all right. So, you may be wondering how Chris and I actually know so much about this shadow society that is trying to keep the weird radiation and mutations and mutant shit that's leaking all over the globe from Jam and Mia. The shadow society that's trying to keep that all hidden from, right? Well, the fact of the matter is, what we've really been doing is reading you facts from a book that we found. And we've been cleverly disguising the information that we've been giving you as a podcast and pretending that we've been making it up, but it's all true. It all comes out of a book that we discovered in Chris's grandma's cupboard one time. And on the outside, it looked like a Quran. And we were just like, wow, that's crazy, Chris. Your grandma has a Quran. Yeah, so we pulled the book out. We were gonna give it a little read. Discovered the Shadow Society. Learned all about Jam and Mia.
It was wild.
So now we're here. Yeah,
And
I wasn't gonna talk about that, but you brought it up.
I
So.
can't believe you would say these things, man. You revealed where we got all this information from. It's a real shock to the system. A real shock to the system.
It is crazy. So, Chris, what I want you to do then is tell us one of the more important passages out of the book. And I think you know what passage I'm talking about.
Give me a couple of word hints.
Yeah, it's the passage that talks about the flawed plan.
Oh, that part of the book.
Part of the book.
That's a very important part of the book. The infamous, the legendary, the flawed plan. So, in what we have dubbed the Dark Quran, there is there's a group of chapters that talk about a very specific event that will take place, but there's also a chapter that references why the event will fail, and this event is known as the Flawed Plan.
Right.
And part of the explanation of the Flawed Plan is a 13-step series of events along the timeline of the Earth that have to occur. And currently we are sitting around event number 7. That's what's currently happening. I believe event number 7 was, as I believe the wording went, was the slapping of The Rock, which was Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. You know, that was event number 7. It's a big one. You would think that COVID would have been in there somewhere, but no. Apparently, it had nothing to do with the plan. There's nothing in there about that. Weirdly enough, but the reason that the plan is flawed really comes down to the fact that it relies upon Will Smith's son Jaden Smith becoming Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And as we already know, there is a Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so the plan is flawed, and the Dark Quran is already aware that this plan will never succeed, and that is why it refers to it as the Flawed Plan. But the Flawed Plan is circumnavigated by another plan, which Matt, you should tell us about. And just to like trigger your memory, Um,
Yeah.
make sure you talk about the lifestyle ball.
The lifestyle ball. Okay, yeah. So, um, that uh yeah, that's an important part of this whole thing because I mean, thank God, Chris, the timeline where Jaden Smith becomes Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe doesn't take place
Yeah.
because the book also warns you about what would happen if that were to actually take place.
Right.
It's basically just the apocalypse happens. Um, but but thankfully there was a Messiah who came to Earth to make sure that Jaden Smith didn't get that role. And basically, what happens is that at the like I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, you wouldn't have really heard about this because they didn't make a big stink over it. But there was I forgot what your reminder was, Chris. I forgot.
You make sure you talk about the lifestyle ball.
Oh, the lifestyle ball. Right. So, part of the news around the whole Will Smith thing is his extramarital affairs and
Uh-huh.
his wife in her sleeping around with younger men. And the reason that happened was because about a decade ago there was a big party and the Smiths were invited. And they called it a lifestyle ball. And basically, what happened was this Messiah came and he got all of his disciples together, like all these people that were like in his inner circle, and they were like, "Look, we really need to make sure that Jaden Smith does not become Spider-Man." So they uh, they like put together this party, this lifestyle ball, and they invited the Smiths,
Uh-huh.
uh, and Will Smith, and his wife showed up,
Yeah.
and while they were there, they learned all about how having an open relationship could really just like make their lives better. And they had they had a PowerPoint and everything planned out for him. And the Messiah and his disciples showed him the PowerPoint. And then Will Smith, though, he was like, I'm not really sure about this. Um, and he was pretty resistant to it. So he was like, no, I'm not on board. Not digging it. PowerPoint wasn't good enough for me. But see, Jada, she was like, damn, that's a bomb ass PowerPoint. Look at those transitions. And she was hooked. She was sold right then and there.
The
And
transitions got
then
her.
yeah, and that just like created a bunch of tension in their marriage. And see, the thing about it is Jaden definitely would have become Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but the marital difficulties that Will and Jada had to go through as a result of the lifestyle ball, it just like threw him out of whack, right? It distracted him. He wasn't doing well in school anymore, and it just created too much friction for him. And so he just never made it to that peak Spider-Man status that he would have otherwise been destined for. And that's how the Messiah corrected the timeline.
That's wild, isn't
Yeah,
it? That's wild. It
right.
was a wild read. I remember when I
It
first
was.
saw that, it was crazy.
It was crazy. It
Yeah.
was crazy.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you read about the lifestyle ball, and you're just like, man,
You're like,
this sounds like
whoa.
it's gonna be dope. And then you just learn that it's just ruining this kid's childhood.
Yeah. But it
It's just
prevents a
kind of
lot of
fucked
terrible
up.
things, though.
It does prevent a lot of terrible things. And Chris, one of those terrible things that would have happened.
Uh huh.
You know which one I'm talking
Oh,
about.
I think
Yeah,
I do.
yeah. We're talking about the terrible thing that would have happened with the articulate performer.
Yeah. And amazingly, the articulate performer is not Jaden Smith, regardless of how talented and wonderful of an actor he may be in The Pursuit of Happiness, I believe, was the movie he was in with his dad. And,
Mm-hmm.
Jada, also a articulate performer, as well as Will Smith. all great articulate performers, but not the articulate
No,
performer.
right.
You know, there's
Exactly.
only one truly articulate performer. And it's important that we lay out some groundwork about who this person is. Firstly, they are wildly influential in today's modern society. And they paved the way for many a great actor. They have led by example, and really changed the foundation of Hollywood and movies. They inspire people to do better, to live strong, meaningful lives, to really be brave and journey where no one has gone before.
Okay.
This actor has
Yeah.
spoken words that no one had heard until they said it, and that's part of being articulate and being a performer. You know, is bringing words to life.
Yeah.
The written word springing onto the screen in the form of man or woman speaking it into reality. And this particular actor,
The articulate performer themselves.
that one
Yeah.
really not only changed the way of acting, but inspired future technology as well,
Oh,
which is
okay.
amazing.
Wow.
Is amazing.
Yeah.
And that actor has lived long and prospered, and it is Sir Patrick Stewart,
Oh,
the
wow.
the
Okay.
articulate
Okay.
performer.
Yeah. I don't think I don't think I knew about this part of the Dark Quran.
Yeah, well, it's important that you're aware of the intensity and the fervor that comes along with the articulate performer Sir Patrick Stewart, because not only was he in Star Trek, which
Right.
clearly has inspired technological advances throughout the
Mhm.
years and inspired many an actor,
Uh-huh.
but you know, he's been so pivotal in the correct plan, not the flawed plan. That's the one that passed by with Jaden Smith not becoming Spider-Man, but the correct plan,
Right.
the plan to be executed. And part of why it's so important, and I'd like you to speak on this, Matt, is
Yeah.
both two little words, you know, and
Yeah.
I'd like you to elaborate on this. The bless skilled.
The blessed guilt. Right. Okay. So see, when you were talking about that, we were talking about the fucking lifestyle ball, and you were talking about the articulate performer, and what I wasn't sure that you were actually getting to was the part where uh the lifestyle ball and the articulate performer actually warn us about the bad things that would happen if the flawed plan hadn't taken place. So the the part that really brings all of that together is, God, what are the words? I'm thinking of the words and I can't even think of the words.
It's fascinating how the Dark Quran kind of shadows your mind, but
Yeah.
I've got it jotted down here, so I'll try to.
Well, I just get so carried away.
So carried
You know,
away.
I forget my train of thought.
It was about the blessed skilled.
Oh, the Blessed Guild, right. Okay. So the reason that all of that comes together is that there is a woman, okay?
Mhm.
And this woman had a particularly special set of talents, right? You may say that she was blessed with some skill. And the thing is about this woman is that if the flawed plan hadn't taken place, and Jaden Smith had actually become Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, then the technology that Sir Patrick Stewart would have inspired because of Star Trek would have led scientists to be able to replicate this woman's blessed skill so well that it would have caused the destruction of society as we know it. Because
Wow.
you see, Chris, this woman's skill in particular was the ability to give just like the most mind-blowing blowjobs you've ever you can't even conceive of how crazy these blowjobs are. And the Star Trek technology mixed with this woman's skill, it would have created a device that would have just kept men inside their homes for the rest of eternity, and nothing would have ever gotten done, and we would just watch society collapse in front of us. It's true. It's true. But the thing is, if Jaden Smith had become Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he would have gotten on into a limo to go to the premiere of a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, and that limo, on its way to the premiere, would have crossed an intersection and blocked an intersection that a speeding drunk driver ran through. There was a drunk driver in an SUV. They ran through a red light. And if Jaden had been going to that premiere, his limo would have stopped the SUV and nobody would have gotten hurt. But because the flawed plan executed correctly, and Jaden never made it to that premiere, and that limo was never there, that SUV careened right through that intersection, ran up on a sidewalk, and killed the woman with the blessed skill. And we were never able to replicate her talents. And it saved society.
Yeah, kept us from the downfall of no reproduction among humans.
Yeah.
Incredibly important that this woman not have her skills reproduced.
Yeah. That's. Yeah, I think. I think that's a big takeaway from that. That's one of the most important things that you can learn from the Dark Crystal. I think we have time for one more excerpt. One more excerpt each from the Dark Crystal.
Okay. Let's make sure we cover that.
So I think we'll get away from the plan. And we'll explore some of the deeper cuts of the Dark Quran. And the first one that comes to mind for me is the one about the orange kick.
Did you say the orange kick?
The orange kick.
I didn't know that we would talk about the orange kick. Are you sure you want to go there?
Yeah, I mean it's a big topic to drop on our first episode about the Dark Quran, but I think it's an important one.
Here's the thing about the orange kick, and I really need to forewarn the audience that what you're about to hear may twist your mind into things that you could never imagine it being. You will see the universe in a different light. You will no longer be able to pee while sitting. It will become impossible for you once you understand about the orange kick.
It's just the risk that we have to take. Chris.
Yeah, and to our female audience, I apologize. A horrible situation, but you're just gonna have to hover or learn another way. I'm sorry. It changes the way the bladder functions. I can't help it. So, viewers, be warned. Listeners, beware. So, the orange kick is a little slice of pie. Believe it or not, it's a slice of pie. And there is said to be a fella out there who has been working on his craft of making the perfect pie. And the Dark Quran states that in his 73rd year of life, he will pass without having perfected the recipe. And his daughter will take up the work that he has been
Right.
slaving over. And in her 27th year of life, she will perfect the perfect pie. And
Perfect the perfect pie.
perfect the perfect pie. And what is amazing about the perfect pie is that there's a single slice. A single slice that will be served to the President of the United States. And that single slice will have a single piece of orange in it. And this single piece of orange is not supposed to be in that pie. You see, there's supposed to be the juice of orange in the pie, and there is throughout the rest of the pie, but that one piece of pie has a slice of orange that fell in.
Oh,
and the chemical composition of the
Oh,
pie,
it's an imperfection in the perfect pie.
it's
Is
an
that what you're saying?
imperfection in the perfect pie. And the chemicals in this pie are perfectly balanced, Matt. You have to understand the balance of this pie. And that orange slice being in that piece, the president takes a bite, and the acidity level isn't correct, and it triggers a cascading effect in the president's brain, and she will get up from the table, walk to the door, and smash her head through the glass panel, and then scrape her face off on the shards of glass. And as she walks away, she will be the faceless president, which leads us into the last thing that we have to talk about regarding the faceless president, and that's the red bubble.
Oh, yeah. So, the faceless president is very clearly at this point in the event, which I think this is what event we're currently on event number 7 in the Dark Quran, right?
Yeah.
In the Dark Quran timeline. So this event in particular is the 11th
Mm-hmm.
event
Yeah, I believe
in
that's right.
the Dark Quran. Yeah. So obviously distraught by the fact that she no longer has a face and that she is the faceless president. Being the president of the United States, she has access to lots of genetic research and biotechnology and stuff like that. And so she sets about getting all of the American government's researchers and biologists and molecular scientists together to try to come up with a way to regrow her face. And I mean, I don't necessarily know that it's the path that I would take, but I mean, if you have like the resources of the entire United States government at your fingertips, why not try something crazy like that? So she sets about creating this program to try to come up with some sort of way to regrow her face, and they work on it for about 6 months, and at some point. And this all goes back to, we're bringing it all back to the nukes, man. At some point, one of the scientists is like, we have these cells and they grow a little bit, right? And they're getting to face shaped. Not quite, but they're getting to face shaped. And it's taken a long time for them to grow.
Yeah.
But one of the scientists is just like, what if we take that group of cells and just nuke it? What will it mutate and just grow faster? Will it grow a crazier face? Will it grow a better face? Will it grow a face at all? So they try it. So they take the group of cells that they want to be faceless president's face, and they stick it out in the middle of the Arizona desert.
Oh my!
And they drop a nuke on it. Wow! And at first, it just kind of seems like nothing's really happened. So they take some dudes and they put them in some hazmat suits and they send them in to go recover what's left of the blob. And to their horror, by the time they get there, it started swelling.
Oh no!
And it's just growing larger and larger and larger and larger by the minute. And after I mean, after about 10 minutes, it's gotten so large that it's impossible to contain, and they don't even know what to do about it. And it's just this big fleshy mass. And they're afraid of it. They're afraid it's alive. They don't know what it's going to do to it. Is it sentient? Who knows? So they start shooting at it, as all good Americans do.
Yeah, of
And
course.
it's just making the problem worse. It's just making it angry, and it's expanding further and further and further. So what do? What do, Chris? They nuke it again.
No, of course.
Yep. And as soon as they do that, the fucker just expands like over the state of Arizona.
Wow.
And it turns red, and it looks like a bubble, and now it's this large fleshy mass the size of the state of Arizona, and it's causing all sorts of issues with air traffic. Air traffic has to fly around it. It's causing all sorts of issues with the environment. It's sucking nutrients out of the ground. It's causing shade in the states neighboring Arizona, so the plants around it aren't getting the proper sunlight. It's throwing all the shit out of whack.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you want to know about what happens to eventually resolve the red bubble.
Boy, don't
and leads us up into event 12 of the Dark Quran. But we don't have time for that today.
We don't have time for that today. That's
yeah,
a big event.
Yeah, so you're just gonna have to keep listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
And maybe at some point we'll come back, revisit the Dark Quran, and give you some more information about how that whole situation resolves this.
That's right.
Or doesn't.
Yeah. If you want to hear more about the Dark Quran, make sure to let us know, and stay tuned for what happens next. Until next time.
Yeah, this has been Unplanned Podnancy, the only podcast on the internet where you can hear stories from the Dark Quran.
The only podcast where you will get these quality of stories as well about the Dark Quran.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for listening. I'm Matt.
I'm Chris. Bye-bye.